In the last month alone, we have learned about the deaths of Chanel Lindsay and Malaysia Booker, two Black trans women murdered in Dallas, as well as Johanna Medina Leon, a migrant from El Salvador who died in immigration detention, and Layleen Polanco Extravaganza, who was found dead under suspicious circumstances in her jail cell at Rikers Island. Locally, this week, many are just learning about Titi Goli, a Black transgender fluid person whose death over Memorial Day weekend was ruled a suicide with less than 24 hours investigation by Portland Police Bureau. So please, if we could take a second and have a moment of silence for the community members that we have lost here and around the United States, we would really appreciate that. Black trans women and other trans women of color were fighting for their right to survive at Stonewall 50 years ago. Black trans women and other trans women of color are still fighting for the right to survive today. Collectively, no matter how we identify, this is a fight that we must all take up and join in on. Your presence here helps that and helps move us forward in what we are trying to accomplish with our community. So thank you again for showing up today, showing your support. Remember their names, remember who they are, and remember why we do what we do. We're not just partying, we're not just celebrating. We are here to create a better space, a better life, and a better situation for all of us. So thank you very much.
My name is Zoe. I'm a social worker. I'm a lesbian. I'm very depressed. I'm a communist. I'm a Midwesterner. I'm a race traitor. And I'm obsessed with watching cartoons. And I'm happy to say that this is my first Pride as an out trans woman. So, to the trans and non-binary people here, I love you, and thank you for helping me find the strength to come out. We exist within a society that has slowly and methodically deprived the most vulnerable among us of the very resources that we need to survive. We know for a fact that in Portland and across the country, trans people face criminally higher rates of homelessness, of employment discrimination, police violence, and the violence of fascists who would see this country exist for their sake and their sake alone. 1 in 5 trans people experience homelessness in their lifetime, and in any city around the country, trans youth make up anywhere between 20 and 40% of homeless youth. And when trans people do finally make it to shelter, they are met with transphobic staff who will place them in the wrong shelter, misgender them, or outright shut the door on them. I am here to add my voice to the growing choir of people who believe that in order to counter these forces, we must dig deep. We need to build alternatives to these systems and to invest ourselves in organizing for change that runs far, far deeper than the changes offered us by local, state, or federal politicians. And we need a true radical alternative to the liberal theory of incremental change. To the idea that we must wait our turn for the so-called arc of progress to make its way to us. We must reject the idea that Black people, disabled people, trans people, illegalized people, and everyone living within these intersections must wait patiently for their turn to be granted human rights from on high.
I just came back from New Orleans, Louisiana. Is anybody from New Orleans? New Orleans, I love your city. I went there for the Afro-Socialist Convention, and I was there with a bunch of Black leftists, and I was in a session about prison abolition. Like, we have to abolish prisons. While I was there, I'm scrolling through my phone. I know you shouldn't scroll through your phone in session, it's rude to the speaker, and I shouldn't have done it, but I'm scrolling through my phone and I see that my friend from 10 years ago, her name is Layleen. She just died when she was in solitary confinement in Rikers Island in jail awaiting trial. They found her body. And this I had to read when I was listening to a bunch of brilliant black leftists talk about the prison industrial complex. So I'm dying inside. Finally, I get people to do an action in solidarity, and that was wonderful. But then I hear about TT Gully from Portland, Oregon, another trans person whose body was found hanging. The family wanted an investigation, and the Portland Police Bureau told them no, 24-hour suicide. We're not looking into this. Do you know why they said that they wouldn't look into it? They said they wouldn't look into it because they couldn't. They didn't have the capacity. That's a lie. The Portland Police Department will be the last thing that ever gets cut in this city until this whole shit finally burns down. I promise you, they will always find a way to make sure that the fucking strike breakers, the racist police, the slave catchers, they're always gonna be funded because they don't want us to be free. Period. I love you, God. So TT is houseless. She's black, she's trans, she's queer. She hangs out with a bunch of punks who fuck shit up. Thank God, if you're TT's friend, make some noise. People knew TT. She was in the community. People loved her. The police were betting on the fact that people don't love people like TT. So they said 24-hour suicide, open and close. And that's how business as usual functions. There are people who think that the way to get out of this creeping fascist nightmare is to find a healthy middle ground and everybody will be able to get along. They already thought of that. That middle ground is called Congress, and the fascists are taking it over. What the fuck? So, that means that we have to be safe as a community. That means we have to be sure that we come up with solutions that will never require the state to help us, because they're not there to help us. So I was asked to come here to speak for Care Not Cops. It's an ongoing group that is putting together people from all parts of the left, all people who are abolitionists, people who know that police and prisons are not can never possibly be the answer to our problems. The answer to our problems is with us, by talking to each other, by being with each other, by affirming one another, by saying you're worthy of life, no matter how you identify. The mantle of trans liberation and the fight for trans rights has not quite yet been sucked up by the liberal establishment. We still have a fighting chance. But in order for that to happen, we have to be sure that we're in the right places at the right times, like right here today. So thank y'all. I'm Alyssa Pariah. Good luck.
They will not protect us! Silence equals death! They will not protect us! Silence equals death! They will not protect us! We're here! We're here! We're families of wonders! We're here! We're here! We're families of wonders! A-C-A-B! All cops are bastards! All cops are bastards! All cops are bastards! A-C-A-B! All cops are bastards! Silence equals death! They will not protect us! 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 1, 2, 3! Support the POC! 1, 2, 3! Support the POC! We're here! We're fabulous! Don't fuck with us! We're here! We're queer! We're fabulous!